Sonic Movie and Equesria Girls Chapter 14, To Space We Go and let the final clash unfold. Sonic had woken up from his recovering as got up from the ground before walking to the others. Rainbow Dash soon rushed to his aid only for the blue hedgehog to wave her off before walking towards Tails as he asked,
"How much longer until we get there?"
"You woke up just in time, we're here."
Tails landed the ship as they saw a small temple in ahead as each of them descended down the ship. Everyone got their things ready as they left the ship as Flash could only ask,
"What is this place?"
"Me and Twilight did some research. Apparently they were building some kind of ship here over 30 years ago, but due to money cost and fighting amongst the workers, it was abandoned."
"How do y'all know it's still operational after all this time?"
"It's not. But with the power of the emerald."
"It would generate enough energy for the machine to work and which in turn will send us to the colony. You and the fox are geniuses."
"Then what are you waiting for? Sunset needs our help."
It didn't take long for the others to enter inside the temple as they saw the small ship aiming upward to the sky. Twilight opened the door as they entered inside to see the old ship which was barely operational. Thankfully they didn't need to worry as Tails managed to find a power drive as he replaced it with the emerald. The ship then began to glow green in color as the others buckled themselves for the upcoming trip.
"Everybody ready!"
One by one each of them started to agree as Tails operated the small spaceship, before Pinkie Pie excitedly yelled,
"Buckle up, everyone, we're taking to the skies."
Taking off in 3, 2, 1.
Tails and Twilight could only operate the ship as the little fox found the controls for the ship as the ship then started to blast off slowly, which pushed back everyone against their chairs. A few of them started screaming as they blasted off into space as the ship could only shake from the outside before finally stabilizing itself. Shadow could only walk slowly down Arc while reflecting back on what had just happened a few hours ago. What that girl did earlier made him curious on what she saw that made her feel pity for him. Without thinking, Shadow stopped again near the door where he had once locked her before unlocking it as what he saw made him even more shocked. From far away, Sunset Shimmer could be seen sleeping, with a bunch of papers and books scattered across the room. However, what shocked him the most is when he walked over to her as he picked up one of the papers on the ground revealing it to be Maria's journal. That's when Shadow noticed that the papers around him were all relating to him and Maria as Sunset Shimmer had searched and read about information about them for hours to the point of exhaustion. The black hedgehog noticed her holding a picture of him and Maria as it made his expression soften. Shadow looked at the girl sleeping softly as he wondered why such a human would want to know more about him so badly. Just what game was she this trying to play on him? Luckily, he saw Sunset Shimmer opening her eyes a little before she saw Shadow standing in front of her, which made her scream in surprise before leaning back against the glass window.
"Shadow, why you?"
"What game are you playing? First you cry out of nowhere, then you search about me."
Well, you see it's..."
Their conversation would soon need when Eggman's transmitter went off as he spoke in a delightful yet sinister tone.
"Shadow, my good friend, have visitors."
"Understood, Doctor, I'm on my way."
Shadow then looked over to Sunset Shimmer before teleported away, which made Sunset both delighted and relieved that her friends were here to save the day, though she hoped they would save her in time, especially since she needed to really talk with Shadow. Back with Sonic, the ship could be seen flying around space as the others could only look out the windows to see the stars from far away. Each one of them looked in awe as being up close to seeing them was something they never expected to happen. The sun's light shined on the earth below them, which showed the planet they loved down below. That was until a black station covered the sun's light as the others could only look at the space colony Arc with horror.
"Anyone getting some space adventure vibes from this where farm blow with a secret power blows up a space station with some secret religious power?"
"I didn't expect it to be that big."
"Tails, land us in."
Tails then maneuvers the ship as it flew forward as they could only circle halfway around the Arc before finding a landing zone for them to land the ship. The ship then descends slowly as it connected with the building, making them enter inside safely.
"All right, fellas, y'all remember the plan now, do ya?"
Like we discussed, we'll separate into 2 teams. Sonic, Tails, Twilight, and Rainbow Dash will find Eggman and give him the fake emerald, which will give the rest of us enough time to save Sunset Shimmer and the others. Once we'll signal that we've rescued our friends, we'll tear this place apart piece by piece. Tails' holograms of ourselves won't last long, so we'll need to hurry and find the others.
Once Eggman finds out, we'll deal with him, giving you all enough time to save the others. Once you're done with that, then you'll be able to help us deal with Robotic.
Remember, if anything goes south, then we'll just have to improvise. This is Eggman and Shadow we're talking about, so don't do anything risky. Any wrong moves could get us killed if we're not careful.
You know, I never thought I would have an adventure that settled the fate of our world. This is really getting my blood pumping.
For good luck, let's have one last fist bump.
Sonic and the others then gathered in a circle as they fist bumped before going their separate ways, Sonic and the others moving one direction while Knuckles and the others moving the opposite. Sunset Shimmer was continuing her research about Shadow as she looked at the many books that Maria had left behind. One by one she read each one, hoping that it will give her more clues about the project and what exactly did Gerald create before Shadow. She checked page by page about the Ark and its history. Maria had left so much knowledge about it before her passing as she found more information about the project. What caught her eye was when she saw a page which talked about the first ultimate life form.
Prototype 1, the ultimate life form.
Sunset Shimmer then continued reading as her eyes widen in disbelief and shock as she discovered that Shadow wasn't the first ultimate life form, that there was another. One that was larger and more deadlier than Shadow. This creature had been hidden from the public for over 50 years on the Ark, left to die by the hands of United Federation. However, this would not be the case as the creature was said to regenerate and retain its life force. This creature was known as the Bio-Lizard, said to have a natural connection to any type of energy.
I can't believe such a thing could exist. But there's more.
She turned over to a page which showed a bunch of owls and echidnas warriors, as Sunset knew straight away what this meant. Being a student of Celestia herself, she began to examine more information that was presented which showed the history of how Project Shadow started.
Gerald must study the ruins of the owl and echidna warriors. He must learned about the Master Emerald and probably tried searching for it himself. But how could this relate to Shadow?
Another page was turned showing a superhuman hedgehog uniting both clans, which gave Sunset a theory she would have to find out later.
Was Shadow based off the form Sonic took using the Master Emerald? If so, why did the first prototype a lizard and why was it changed?
She learned that after the first project had failed, the second time was a success, that being Shadow the Hedgehog. Maria had written down that her grandfather told her that his soul was base of the very thing that would make him human, that being Maria.
Shadow's soul was based of Marius. Gerald knew that the United Federation would eventually take away Shadow and use him as a weapon of mass destruction. He wanted to base his soul off of Marius so that he would make him choose the correct moral choices, so that humanity wouldn't abuse his power. His memories make sense now. They invaded the Ark because they were worried about this getting out to the public. They wanted to destroy all evidence of the project's existence while keeping Shadow for themselves.
Sunset Shimmer could only get up from the bed as she ran to the door before trying to break it, knowing full well if she was loud enough that she would get the black hedgehog attention.
Hey, open up!
Sunset Shimmer continued to slam the door, which made noises across the hallway. Sunset Shimmer knew deep down that Shadow wasn't who she thought of him. She needed to confront Shadow about this, to remind about the very promise he made to Maria before she died. Sonic and the others currently walked down the hallway as they looked around the abandoned Ark.
Talk about old! This place looks like nobody's been on it for ages.
After the United Federation invaded this place, it was shut down 50 years ago because of the experiments that took place here. Apparently when this place was still operational, it was one of Earth's most advanced research center back in our dimension. But looking at it now, all that's left is
an abandoned facility with one of most darkest histories to ever exist. No wonder why Eggman needs the emerald. He needs it to power up this place like it once was.
Speaking of the powering up, how are we gonna fool Eggman of all people?
I'm glad you asked because I've prepared something that he'll never expect it. Check this out.
Tails then immediately took out the fake emerald, which almost looked identical to the real one.
Whoa! That thing looks like the real deal.
It does, doesn't it? While Sonic was unconscious, and the last hours creating this thing thanks to the help of Knuckles, I managed to transfer some of the Master Emerald energy into this fake one, giving it the same wavelength and properties as the real emerald. However, this thing isn't even close to the Master Emerald's true power.
How do you know he won't figure out it's fake once we give it to him?
Easy, because of his obsession with the emerald. During our last fight with him, he was so fixated with the emerald despite him anything else. It's likely that he'll just take it without even giving it a second thought.
Well, Let's just hope this works.
Knuckles and the others currently ran down a hallway as they searched for whoever they could find.
Man, this place is dusty. I think I'm getting allergies.
Suck it up, Cream Puff. The fate of the world and our friends is at stake.
Where exactly are we going?
I have no clue. You really don't ask such questions when it's literally our first time here.
Up ahead. I think I see something.
Knuckles and the others then saw a big open doorway in front of them as they entered inside to see a circle-like room containing prison cells. Each one containing certain animal creatures like birds, bunnies, and so much more, which made Fluttershy feel sick to her stomach. Not too far away, Knuckles could only notice that one of the prison cells containing 2 humans, as he immediately knew who they were.
Tom! Maddie!
Inside the prison cell, Tom and Maddie looked over to see Knuckles and the others running to them, as the only thing blocking them was the metal cage which blocked their path.
Knuckles, what's happening? Where's Sonic and Tails?
No time to explain. We must get you out of there.
When Knuckles out his hands on the bar, a voice could be heard as the voice spoke in a robotic tone.
Unauthorized personnel detected. Preparing battle droids.
Knuckles and the others turned around to see a bunch of robots descended down on them as they fired their guns at the group. Rarity used her magic to summon her diamonds, which blocked the gullets from reaching them, as Pinkie Pie threw a bunch of bombs towards the robots, which destroyed it instantly. Knuckles and Applejack then picked up the pieces that fell before throwing it, which destroyed a couple of them.
Flash! Fluttershy! Why don't you get to the controls to shut that opening up from the sky while the other gets them out of there?
Fluttershy and Flash then looked at each other before agreeing, as Fluttershy ran towards the controls with Rarity following him to cover fire, with Knuckles and Applejack destroying as much as they can. Flash tried breaking the lock as Tom and Maddie could wonder who Knuckles brought with him.
Who are you guys?
Don't mind me, ma'am. I just got dragged into this and now I'm helping them save the world. If I could break this lock to get you guys out.
Kid, use this.
Flash looked over to see Tom holding a small sharp object, as Flash could only stare at the couple weirdly as he asked them.
Wait, if you guys had this the whole time, why didn't you just escape?
When you see a bunch of killer robots descending from that shaft above us after you tried breaking us out, it kind of makes breaking out without powers useless.
Okay, fair point.
Flash then grabbed the metal object before using it on the lock before he finally was able to unlock them from their prison cell, as Tom and Maddie immediately ran out before picking up the guns which laid from the broken robots.
Hey kid, you know how to use a gun?
No, not really.
Well, first time for everything here.
Tom then threw one of the guns towards Flash as he caught them weapon before trying to operate it. Tom then found the trigger before firing at multiple directions, destroying a few in his path. Tom and Maddie would soon join him as they aided Knuckles and Applejack in their assault. Eggman could only stare at the earth beneath him as he heard the doors behind him open, as he smiled mischievously as he turned around while showing a goofy face. From his point of view, everyone from before stood in front of him, as Sonic was the first to step in, as the Mad Doctor could only smile at the blue hedgehog.
If it isn't my favorite hedgehog, keep this between you and me, but the black hedgehog has no sense of humor, am I right?
Enough games, Eggman. We brought what you wanted. Call off the cannon and we'll give the emerald to you.
I don't think you understand the situation that you're in right now. You see, I'm the one that should be making negotiations with you. Hand me the emerald and no one does. It's as simple as taking candy from a baby.
Sonic looked over to Tails as he handed him the fake emerald. Twilight and Rainbow Dash could only look on nervously as the blue hedgehog could only take a few steps.
You want the emerald, you can have it. It's right here.
Interesting. Seems that you would give up such power just to protect this small little rock. How pathetic of you, really.
Sonic could only walk slowly towards Eggman as he stood an extra step before stopping, as the Mad Doctor could only smile at the blue hedgehog. Something was off, and Twilight was the first one to notice the button in his hand as she tried calling out his name.
Sonic, wait!
It was too late, as Sonic had fallen into a trap as the blue hedgehog felt a pod dropped beneath him as he saw himself trapped in a space pod. Rainbow Dash tried rushing to his aid only for Eggman to raise the button up in the sky, which made Rainbow Dash back off.
I am so offended that you thought you could trick me with a fake emerald.
But how did you?
Oh please, all you need is a brain like mine to know that the look on your faces gives it away. You didn't think I wouldn't notice the holograms around you.
The help!
Dr. Eggman could only crackle before snapping his fingers. This caused a small robotic hand to descend down with a screen on hand which showed Knuckles and the others fighting a bunch of his robots.
Your friends are quite the troublemakers. I wouldn't have even noticed them if it wasn't for one of my computers detecting an enemy breach down below.
Let him go, Eggman!
Only if you give me the real emerald.
Tails looked reluctant at first as Sonic yelled at his friend to not listen to the mad doctor.
Tails, whatever happens to me, don't give him the emerald.
Sonic, if we don't, then he'll kill you.
You should listen to you so-called friends. This pod will send you tumbling down to the planet beneath you. Even someone like you wouldn't survive such a fall. Be generous. I'll give them a count of 5 starting now.
Twilight and the others could look in horror as Tails took out the emerald as before he could give. Sonic stopped him.
Tails, don't.
But Sonic, we can't just...
I know, but if we give him the emerald, then the world is doomed again. I won't let that happen twice.
We'll figure out something, just let us save you.
Rainbow Dash covered her mouth as tears started to come down as she knew what Sonic was about to do. Tails screamed in the top of his lungs as he begged him friend one more time.
Sonic knew!
I'm counting on you guys. Take care of yourself. And kick this guy's butt for me, okay?
Time's up! Say goodbye, Hedgehog.
No!
It was too late as the pod was soon dropped out the station, sending Sonic to the earth below him as the blue hedgehog could reflect back on his life. He could only remember the good memories he had with everyone, how his adventure started, how he met his friends, and how he did his part in protecting the emerald. The blue hedgehog could only close his eyes, almost accepting his fate as the pod started to catch on fire. It almost seemed like all hope was lost, until he remembered the fake emerald he had in his hand. He recalled Tails telling him that he transferred some of the Master Emerald's power into the emerald, saying that it had the same wavelength and properties as the real one. The only problem was he never really understood how to use this power since his first time was during the battle in Green Hills.
Come on, Sonic. Remember how to use its power. Please, please.
The blue hedgehog could only close his eyes as he tried using the emerald power as the area around him strayed to glow green before he opened his eyes again before using the fake emerald to teleport away. The shutter then exploded in space, causing the trio to scream out from above. Twilight Sparkle and Rainbow Dash couldn't help but cry out his name as the tears in their eyes were ever so present. Eggman could only dance happily, thinking that he finally killed his arch-nemesis.
You know what they say, 3rd time's the charm, am I right?
Rainbow Dash and Tails could only glare the mad doctor as his expression them soured as killed the mood for him.
Wow, enough crowd. Okay?
You monster!
Oh, relax, sweetheart, I did you a favor. With him out the way now, you're really the so-called fastest person, so you claim. Now then, back to business. And over the emerald.
Tails could only wipe the tears from his eyes as he stood up with determination as he glared at Eggman as he told him.
Never. I made a promise to him and I'm gonna keep it.
Sonic was our friend. We're not gonna let you get away with what you did.
I think I just barfed in my mouth again.
Eggman then summoned his robots as they came inside the room as Tails took out his gadgets while the other girls prepared their magic. Back with Knuckles and the others.
You might want to hurry. We're being overrun.
Tom and the others could barely continue the fight as with the amount of robots that kept coming through the shaft, they were at the point of exhaustion already. Fluttershy could only try to work the controls as she didn't know how to operate the machine, as with each random button she pressed, it did nothing.
I'm trying but nothing's doing anything.
Well, you gotta hurry. We can't hold them off much longer.
Fluttershy could only press more buttons as she didn't know what she was doing before she began to sweat under pressure. That was until she noticed a familiar button on the controls as one of the buttons started flicking. She had no time to decide as she immediately pressed the button, hoping for the best. Luckily, her decision managed to save them in the nick of time as the shaft started to close, blocking the incoming robots from entering.
Way to go, Fluttershy.
Just one more thing to do.
Fluttershy then pressed a bunch of buttons before flicking a switch which opened up the other prison cells, which let the poor animals escape as they ran to her for safety.
There, little guys. We were gonna take you home.
Tom then approached Knuckles as he could only ask,
Where's Sonic? Don't tell me he went to fight Eggman alone again.
Well, you see.
Luckily, as fate would have it, a green light then appeared in the room as they saw the blue hedgehog fall on the floor before he hit the ground.
Oh, I didn't think that would work. I thought I was done for a second ago.
Knuckles then rushed to his aid as Maddie ran over to see if the blue hedgehog was alright as she immediately hugged him.
Sonic?
Mom? Dad?
Sonic, what's going on? Where's Tails?
Flash could only unlock the iron door before opening it as Sunset Shimmer could only hug him for the rescue for grabbing his hand and running as fast as she could.
Onset, slow down. What's going on?
There's no time flash if what I read is true. We are all in danger.
Not so far away from everyone, a blue and red light traveled at top speeds with neither one having the advantage. Sonic and Shadow were neck and neck while running before Shadow was the first one to strike as he jumped up in the air before summoning red lighting bolts before throwing it at Sonic.
Take this!
Not so far away from everyone, a blue and red light traveled at top speeds with neither one having the advantage. Sonic and Shadow were neck and neck while running before Shadow was the first one to strike as he jumped up in the air before summoning red lighting bolts before throwing it at Sonic.
Where is she? Where did you take Sunset?
That doesn't concern you, Faker. I suggest you focus on the fight.
Shadow then uppercut Sonic as the blue hedgehog could only before a backflip before landing on the ground safely. Sonic then dashed in top speeds before punching Shadow in the gut, kicking him up in the air, which Shadow used to his advantage as he used his rocket boots to stop himself crashing against the ceiling above him. Shadow then teleported back down as both hedgehogs charged at one another as the shockwave was felt across the room. Each gave it their all as they unleashed a series of punches and kicks as neither one held the advantage. Finally, both hedgehogs locked hands before head-butting one another while glaring with such vicious intent. However, this ended when Shadow punched Sonic in the face as the blue hedgehog could only fly through the walls behind him, which entered another. Shadow then teleported inside to see the power source for the cannon as the smoke covered his point of view. He could only hear Sonic's voice from all around him.
You know what's good about dust and speed? It makes the person who has both at a great advantage.
Shadow then felt something hit him from behind as when he tried looking back, there was nothing but smoke as this continued to happen. In a flash, Sonic kept going around and around, making himself unpredictable, with Shadow badly being able to react fast never as Sonic used his full speed, showing Shadow who was faster between the two hedgehog. Shadow then started to glow red in anger as Sonic noticed this from afar, knowing what he was about to do from what had happened in their previous battle. Only no, Sonic knew how to counter this.
Hey Shadow, this is something I picked up from Rainbow Dash.
Sonic appeared in front of Shadow as he barely had enough time to unleaded his attack as Sonic punched him so hard that he was sent back against the wall as debris started to fall on him.
Always pay attention, even when you least expect it. It's over, Shadow.
Sonic then walked over to the supercomputer which had the emerald-shaped container as Sonic assumed that this would mess up the cannon. He then put the emerald inside as the machine accepted the emerald inside as Sonic threw his hands up in celebration. From outside he could hear the cannon super ring off as this signaled that the cannon had been stopped as it started to break down on itself.
Alright, we did it?
However, this would not be the case as he then stated to feel the area around him shake as he could only stare on confusion. Before he could do anything, the fake emerald was then taken down to the lower level so quickly that the blue hedgehog didn't have enough time to do anything, thus making him even more speechless.
What?
The blue hedgehog could only hear the sound of laughter as he saw Shadow picking himself up from the debris as the black hedgehog could only stand up.
It's done. You just activated the space colony arc for its true purpose.
What are you talking about? Shadow, answer me.
Before Sonic could get any questions, Shadow had teleported away. The place around him started shaking. Sonic then decided to meet up with the other, not knowing what was going on. Back with Tails, Twilight could only use her magic to stop the robots from firing before slamming them against one another. Rainbow Dash ran in top speeds as he destroyed each robot that came her way, with Tails dealt with the Mad Doctor. The fox felt himself being pushed to the ground as Eggman stepped on the fox as he could only look at Tails with pity.
It's a shame, Fox. I really did enjoy our battle, but I'm afraid this battle has to come to an end at some point. Nothing personally, but since I got rid of Sonic, it's time to take care of his little sidekick too.
Tails could only look up at the Mad Doctor as he had one more card up his sleeve.
I thought you were supposed to be the smart one?
What makes you say that? I'm literally stepping in you as of this very moment.
See, I thought you would notice the trap I planted earlier on you.
Eggman could only look confused before he saw one of Tails' gadgets beneath him as the gadget then transformed itself, making a spring trap as the spring, which launched a fist up in the air which uppercut the Mad Doctor as he was sent in the air before falling down.
I call that the magic hand, a long-range comical punching weapon.
Before Eggman could get up, he saw the doors in front of him open as it revealed Knuckles and the others as they glared at the doctor below them. Eggman turned around to see the girls had destroyed the robots from earlier as they stood around Tails as the Mad Doctor was surrounded.
Oh, why don't we say we let bygones be bygones? I did some things, you did some.
Maddie and Tom then immediately pointed their guns at the Mad Doctor, which shut him up from saying anything else. Conveniently, they heard a blue flash as Sonic had appeared in time to see the others were okay. Tails and the two girls could only gasp in shock. Rainbow Dash and Tails then rushed in to give the blue hedgehog a hug as Sonic could only hug them back.
Sonic? How did you? We thought you were dead!
It's a long story, but right now something's happening. I don't have time to explain, but...
Suddenly, everyone started to feel the ground shake beneath them as Sonic and the others could barely on as a recording was shown on one of the computers. But it wasn't just that, both dimensions started to receive the same message as everyone had checked to see an old man tied up against a chair.
Grandfather?
The recording then continued as Gerald could only speak in a dark and hateful tone.
This is Gerald Robotnik. 50 years ago, you humans taken the one thing that kept me sane in this accursed world. You took everything from me because you feared your own creation. You feared what would happen if word of this got out. But I'm here to tell the truth. It won't take long before the program is activated, and once it's done, it can be disabled. All you ungrateful humans who took everything away from me will now feel my loss, my despair. We'll all burn.
Is there anything else you need to say? Anything at all?
The old man had said nothing as the recording could only end with a gunshot being heard as the screen had closed itself as the others stood in horror as they felt the ground beneath them shake.
I don't understand. We stopped Eggman, so why is this happening?
Because this wasn't about Eggman.
The others then turned over to see Sunset Shimmer enter the room along with Flash as she explained.
That was Professor Gerald Robotnik, one of the greatest scientific minds in the world, who was also Robotnik's grandfather. During this time on the Ark, he created the ultimate life form, but the United Federation came and destroyed it all, killing everyone including his granddaughter Mary. He went insane after that. All that was left in his mind is what kept him going before he was executed. This is about revenge.